Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our session 7 of the Thrive Lifestyle series. I am Megan Baldwin, your Platinum Leader with Thrive Family Essentials. And tonight I am really excited. We have 2 special guests on the call tonight. First, we are featuring Agnes. Agnes is a silver leader with our team. She's been married for 29 years. She has 3 children, 4 amazing grandchildren, and she was introduced to Young Living about 2 years ago. She was struggling with long-term chronic illness, and she was under the care of a doctor and was using a lot of different supplements at the time. She ran into problems with taking those supplements, that when she would take them, she was having a toxic reaction to the supplements due to some of the ingredients. She started slowly switching them out to different supplements from local health food stores, from her natural path, and she just was simply having the same issues. Once she started using the oils and the Ninja Red and was having excellent success, she decided it was time to venture out and see how Young Living supplements could help and support her. So when she started using them, she started off slowly and started transferring out a couple of her products. And she had stunning success. She found once she started to switch over to the Young Living product, she was using a lot less of the product and getting a better result. So she just has so much knowledge, and I'm really excited to have her on the call tonight to share with us a little bit more about Life 5 and why it's so important to have in our lifestyle. So if everybody could welcome Agnes, she will take it away.
Better unmute myself first. Can everybody hear me?
You're good.
Can we have the first slide there, Megan?
Yes.
Okay, so this is part of a bigger presentation that I've done, and I've just selected a few slides for this just to talk about Life 5 and why we need probiotics. Now, I'd like to remind you, I'm not a doctor or a medical profession in any way, shape, or form. I am a mom and a grandma. That is my claim to fame, and probably a rather ill one at that. So I want to talk a little bit about the human microbiome. The human microbiome is actually all of the bacteria, the viruses, and the fungi that live on and in your body. And the larger part of the microbiome is in your intestines. And mostly we generally talk about the bacteria that live in there. And the bacteria, when I grew up, so I'm close to 50. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm close to 50. But when I grew up in school, we learned that bacteria is a germ and it's bad for you. In the last decade or 2, there has been a shift in our understanding that not all bacteria is bad. And this understanding that was wrong has actually created some problems for us, and I'm going to explain that in a slide or 2 later on. So the microbiome, mostly when we refer to it in our body, we're talking about the bacteria that exists from your mouth to your anus, so from hole to hole, that whole digestive tract. And that digestive tract actually has a lot more non-human cells within it than what we have in our entire body. And while that seems really odd, the important thing to understand here is that due to the incredible size of the microbiome, we are more non-human cells than we are human cells. So when you think of it that way, you need to really think of taking care of the bacteria that exists within your body. The human microbiome is, in most people, it is fully established roughly by the age of 2. when you come out of your mother through the vaginal tract, you get much of your mother's bacteria that way, and that's hugely important to set off, a balanced microbiome. And you also get another big shot of bacteria from your mother when you breastfeed. So when mothers are in a position to choose, they want to choose wisely. And when these choices are removed from them for health circumstances or whatever the problem may be, it's helpful to understand these points so that you can do something about it to support the babies and the child's microbiome as they age. So the microbiome is hugely responsible for your immune system in that aspect. So can we get the next slide, Megan? So the role of the bacteria within the microbiome is very important. It helps you digest your food. It actually is what sends off the enzymes to digest your food. And they help you remove wastes. They unlock vitamins and minerals. So without bacteria in your body, you cannot access vitamins or minerals in your food. And it stops the overgrowth of bad bacteria in your system. So they have a natural check and balance. They keep themselves in a symbiotic relationship. They work intricately with the immune system, and they send messages to the immune system that tell you what in the body is good for you and what is not. And if it's not, you're going to provoke an immune response. Can we have the next slide, Megan? So I like to think of the bacteria as communities because we have groups of bacteria. And these groups of bacteria are killed by things like antibiotics. And this is important because when we first created antibiotics, we did not understand necessarily that we were killing good and bad, and we didn't have that understanding that we were going to head in a really tough position if we messed with our microbiome. So there were decades where we were pumping our bodies full of antibiotics, and now we're starting to see within the medical profession that we are pulling away from this overuse of antibiotics. And I think we have to think about this because we always have a choice. When a doctor offers you an antibiotic, you do not have to take it. I've had my doctor offer me and say, this is your choice. So this is something that you want to think about. And antibiotics are not effective on viruses. So if you've got something that your doctor says is a virus and they do fill out a prescription for an antibiotic, you may want to think twice about that. Other drugs also will kill your bacteria in your system as well. So when you are taking medication, you may want to support your body with a probiotic, and you may want to take that medication wisely. Chemicals, anything that you come in contact with that is a man-made chemical can and will kill good bacteria in your system. So whether it is on your food, whether it is in your air, whether it's something you're putting on your body, these are choices that you can make. There are other things that affect your communities of microbes, not by killing them, but by overgrowing bad bacteria. One of the most obvious things is sugar. Sugar, bad bacteria loves that. I don't even know if there is a good bacteria that likes sugar. So there's a really good reason to keep sugar and often other sweeteners out of your diet. An unhealthy diet will support bad bacteria as well. And chemicals, not only do chemicals kill, but there is some bacteria, parasites, fungi that will feed very well off of man-made chemicals. So one of the things you want to consider is what happens when an entire community of bacteria is destroyed. Now, I like to think of this in terms of Fort McMurray. Fort McMurray, as most of you all know, has had a fire within their town, and there have been pockets of their town that have been flattened and destroyed. But they're all within pockets. It's not a pocket here and a pocket there. It's kind of in sections. But within your body, there are types of bacteria that are related to each other, just like trees and plants are, and they are more susceptible to being damaged or overgrown in one pocket or community. So when you think of Fort McMurray, if the hospital had been destroyed, along with the pharmacy and all the medical clinics, you'd have a huge gap in your system, and trying to repopulate that town would be really difficult. The same thing would be a problem if your grocery store, your corner store, your Walmart, and your Safeway, all of these stores were burned down at the same time. So when you think of this, you may have holes, holes where there is something completely missing, but you may also have an overgrowth. Now, that doesn't happen in a fire, obviously, but you can catch my drift here. So when these entire communities are destroyed, you have holes that leave room for opportunistic bacteria, parasites, or fungi. And can we have the next? Perfect. So Candida is one of the fungi that is really well fed by a poor diet, and especially sugar and sweeteners and high starch diet. And it is a yeast-like fungus. We all know what yeast does. It raises bread and it helps it grow, literally, especially on sugar. And it is normally present in your body. There's over 150 different species, and usually there's only 6 that are encountered with human infections. And Candida albicans accounts for 50% of human Candida infections. Now, what's interesting is many women are acquainted with this as a vaginal yeast infection. What they don't always understand, and what your doctor is not telling you, they used to give you a prescription for this. I think you don't need one anymore to get something to help you with that. Is that the problem doesn't start in your vagina. It starts in your intestinal tract. By the time it gets to your vagina, or some people will get a fungus in their mouth, that type of a thing, it's already prevalent in your body. So some of the causes of Candida overgrowth is the use of antibiotics, which gives it room to grow, imbalance in gut bacteria, and drugs that will change the pH. A different pH will really give Candida a head start. And then foods such as sugars, alcohol, grains, and glutinous foods. And it's really interesting. If you see a naturopathic doctor and they are concerned about Candida overgrowth, they will put you on a Candida diet. And any of you could go ahead and do some research. It's not fun, but you're pretty much left with natural meat, straight off the bone kind of a thing, and not messed with, and vegetables. So it's a hoot, but you learn to like vegetables on a diet like that. And that is because those are the foods that don't feed Candida as you're trying to struggle with that issue. So Life 5 is a probiotic that Young Living has put out. And it has 5 beneficial strains that promote natural digestive balance. Those are clinically proven. Now, Young Living has done something entirely different from a lot of probiotics out there. Many of them, I've had at least 3 different ones. And they had a whole lot more than 5. The thing about Young Living is they've done a lot of research on this, and these do not conflict with each other. So we know that bacteria lives in symbiosis, so it keeps each other balanced. And generally what that means is if you're balancing one, it's maybe less or more. And these will live with each other without conflict. So when you put a probiotic in your body, there really isn't any point in putting one in that has 25 strains in and 3 of them are dead by the time they get in your body. So these do not conflict with each other, and 2 of them are considered super strains. And another thing that Young Living has done, which is just superb, is they've got a delay release capsule, and these capsules bypass your stomach. Now, this winter I had the wonderful experience of going to Winter Harvest, and we had one of the chemistry fellas out to do some training for us, and he explained to us that they actually have some sort of a digestive simulator, and they test each batch of capsules so that when they have a delayed release, they know if anything has gone wrong in production where that capsule is going to open up. So you can be assured that each batch has been tested so it opens up in the correct place. And this is hugely important because if it comes in contact with the upper intestine or the stomach, it's pretty much useless because by the time it gets into the lower intestine, a lot of that has been tampered with and balanced and whatnot. That is not to say that if you can't swallow that capsule, as a small child, you're not going to get any benefit from it. So there are a lot of moms that will take this capsule apart and put it in yogurt or on toast, and that's really wonderful to do. But when you're an adult and you can't swallow a capsule, be aware that you're not getting near what this little capsule can do for you. And one little hint I can give you is when you put that little capsule in your mouth and you put some water in your mouth, is to raise your arms and praise the Lord. And when you do that, praise the Lord, it opens something up here and is a whole lot easier to swallow. So if you're one of those people that can't swallow a pill, try some praising the Lord. Okay, so a lot of people will think that, you know, if one is good, 2 or 5 could be better. And there are some reference guides that will suggest this. On the bottle, the dosage is 1, and it is meant to be taken after a meal or before bedtime. And I just want to give you a couple of my family's stories with this so that I would urge caution. I would urge always starting with the 1. And I guess if you really feel you need to do more than that, move up from there, but do that slowly. Be cautious and listen to your body. So my grandson is 6 now, and I think he might have been 4, but he for sure was not 6, he was 5 maybe, when he started the Life 5 probiotic. And his mother gave him a full one. I don't know if he chewed it or swallowed it. I suspect he might have been able to swallow it. And if you're eating, you may want to sniff some peppermint because it's a little bit gross, but we are talking about the intestine here. So buck up, honey. He blossomed and oozed in a few places. So his belly button protruded and it looked quite horrible. And he was oozing from his anus. And his mom did a little bit of research, and Candida actually will give off 69 different toxins. And so you have to think about this, whether it's Candida or another bacteria. They just don't say, okay, somebody else has come to the party, we'll just leave now through the back door. You know, they put up a fight, and, you know, they may not survive that fight. And when a body decays, it gives off even more toxins. So that release of toxins may be a little bit uncomfortable. And so in my grandson's case, she did a little bit of research, and this was definitely a Candida overgrowth problem. She went and took him to the doctor, and he said, this is good as long as you can keep him comfortable. So I would urge that, you know, if you're having symptoms like this, that you do see your doctor and make sure you're safe. And this is a good reason not to start off with more than 1. You know, there are some oils that can help you with those discomforts. My own personal experience was actually even more frustrating, especially knowing that my grandson managed this a whole lot easier than I did. I have a very difficult time dealing with any toxins in my body. And I really thought it was only man-made toxins. And, but I guess any toxin that is not good for the body is going to be dealt with exactly the same way. All toxins leave your body through the same ways. And so after 2 weeks, I was having a relapse of symptoms. Now, this is really the only supplement I've had with Young Living that was not a 100% positive experience to begin with. My experience was that I had severe brain fog. I ended up with a lot of pain. And bloating, lymph problems, just a whole lot of discomfort. And it took me 2 weeks to click in what was happening. And I had a little chat with a healthcare practitioner, and that person suggested to cut back. So I opened the capsule, poured about a third down the drain, and it took me about 2 months before I could increase that. So I started this last spring after Carla Green's presentation. I think that was April. I'm going to say April or May, somewhere around there. And it took me from then until November to be able to take a full capsule. And it was still a little bit past that before I started feeling like myself. So my thoughts on this are, it's really excellent for you. I cannot do without this supplement right now. If I miss it for a day, the next day is just fine. It's when I take it the day after that I struggle. So I cannot miss it for a day. Otherwise, there's payback for it payback 2 days down the road. So my thoughts on this are, it's a wonderful supplement. I think a lot of people need to try this. You need to do it consistently, but listen to your body and be very, very cautious. And another thing you need to do is drink a lot of water. I have talked to people that actually have become constipated on this, and you just need to drink a lot of water. Comfort Tone is a really big help at that time too. But if you're only drinking 5 or 6 glasses of water, I would suggest make a little list, and every time you've got a new cup of water, put a little ticky mark. And if you're going to increase it, then you know the next day whether or not you've increased it. Sometimes we think we drink a lot of water, but it's when you start taking note of it that you really find out that, we're busy moms, busy grandmas. We do a lot of things in a day, and sometimes we don't drink as much as we should. So that's everything.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Agnes. You have some amazing information to share with us, and I just really appreciate you taking the time out to share your knowledge and teach us a little bit more about just getting our bodies in the best health that we possibly can have it in. So